What's going on, everyone? Welcome to week 18 of Look Who's Talking. This is the Carnival. Garrick, you continue that song? Welcome to week 18, where you don't know which backups are in, which starters are out. Are they playing first quarter, third quarter? Actually, can we get some of your boxing voice, Garrick?
Oh, God. In the blue corner, we have David Blau starting from Arizona Cardinals and Anthony Brown, the Baltimore Ravens. Tyrod Taylor's making an appearance on the sidelines tonight. Oh, God. Yeah, no,
look,
Nathan
I'm not
Peterman.
here.
We're getting a Nathan Peterman sighting.
I'm not telling you how to run the content on your page, but if that doesn't make some sort of appearance as some sort of character in some sort of show, you guys are not doing things properly.
Yeah,
because the way you toss on like a more pronounced 50s New York accent is perfect. So you got to bring that back, man. You really I don't care if you need to write off a Dick Tracy hat or something. Put on a Dick Tracy type hat, get a raincoat, get a cigar, and deliver some picks that way. Okay.
We should do it. Honestly, it's pretty good.
Definitely.
It's a shame,
I wouldn't bullshit you.
It's a shame it took this long to come back out in the season. But you know what? We spoke offline, and unfortunately our schedules just didn't line up last week where we could get a show in. But we promised the people of Carnival in week 18 in every which way. So we're here for you. We're ready for accents, ridiculous theories on what might happen this week, and anything else. And you know, obviously, it's better to be in a little bit better spirits now that Hamlin woke up. Apparently, spoke to his teammates this week, and I feel a little bit better about talking about football now, which you know took me a little bit to get there. So.
Well, I have something that if I can make a sad situation sad/not sad. So obviously, you know that I've dealt with my own tragedy in the last couple of years. What I want to know is if you have a tragedy card, an authentic one, are you allowed to speak? Like, am I allowed to say a joke, not about the tragedy, but just in the midst of a tragedy, a person who's went through tragedy, they shouldn't be bullied like that. Like, how dare you bring up anything lighthearted in a time like this? I believe that if you've endured true tragedy, not your grandpa died on a boating accident, true tragedy, you should be able, like, you should be grandfathered or exempt into having to keep everything down for like a good 2 weeks.
You're basically saying like Jews can make jokes about Jews, like it's the same concept, right? Like you can make jokes about somebody that's gone through something similar. I'm just gonna say,
I guess you're right. I'm just gonna
dip out of this one, and I'll allow you to make whatever kind of content you want.
I don't. It was just a premise, like, you know, for my own podcast. I bring up absurd theories, and it was just like. Well, because you know what this all stems from? Sorry, look, it's a Carnival episode. You're going to get some Carnival conversations. So I have a friend. He's a great guy. Like he would never do wrong by somebody, a friend, a girlfriend, anything like that. You know what happens to people like that? Usually throughout the course of their life, they get screwed. Like people take advantage of their kindness. They take advantage of people like that. So there was this one girl at his job who was like making semi-advances like towards him, like, oh, you know, and like requested him on Facebook, then like went to kind of follow him on Instagram, and like he didn't follow her back because he saw where it was going. Like she was trying to like hang out with him, and he, I think, declined the request on Instagram, and now she's probably telling people like, you know, he's such an asshole. But
of course.
And I believe that somebody who's been screwed for years should be able to present a resume of the things that have happened to them before anyone proclaims them an asshole. Like, you know, imagine she was about to say, oh, that guy, he's a real, and then she, well, oh, wow. Oh, you know, maybe.
It's like, it's I'm trying to figure out how the resume would get transferred to a person that's about to discourage somebody else. Like, wait, hold on. Before you say it, let me just send you. You need the background. Here's his I've been screwed CV for life.
All right, so now you get where. Well, obviously you have a decent understanding of how my mind works. It was like in reverse order. I've always thought about that for my friend, and now when I saw everything happening, I was like, should I not? Because, I had to come up with the video. I was like, how do I address this? Then I just thought to myself, if anyone gives me shit, I should tell them a story or two before they start casting stones. And then that's how those, and then, it's funny. I was just conveying that to you. And eventually it was that one line that got to it with the resume. That's like literally what stand-up comedy, like so many times there's a funny concept. It's not being relayed properly, but then that one little tinker makes it hit.
I get it. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, when you put it that way, yes, Andy. So for all of our listeners, just if you DM Andy, if you want his the rap sheet of what's happened in his life, and both good and bad, you'll get it all. In ninth grade, he went to the store and got caught stealing, and then in 10th grade, he kissed a woman, and you'll get everything. So.
Yeah, you get everything top to bottom, just like you are going to get here in week 18. But before week 18, that old saying in FIFA, sometimes you have to look back to go forward. Quick look at week 17, Gary. I sent you my Brady lineups, and in the $3 tournament, I was in 16th place.
Wow.
Yeah, in the power sweep, I would have won 20 grand. I ended up winning $4,000 in the $3 20 max from a Tom Brady double stack.
That's an excellent finish, and good on you, man.
With DJ Moore on the bring back. And then I kind of went double chalk with cheap running backs with Algier and ETN, who I texted you before I was putting in those lineups. I go, what do you think about these quote unquote Jacksonville players playing? Yeah. And then they did really
only play a half, but he was good enough in that half. No, it was excellent. And I was tilting my face off about Brady because I've been and this is where, listen, good on you for doing it. I've just been burned by him so much this season. I played so many Brady doubles and they have done nothing for me. And then also, best ball teams I had that had the Brady double with the DJ Moore bring back in anticipation of week 17, but just never got to the finals because so it's like, brutal. But yeah, I mean, of course, we knew the Mike Evans game was coming, and it came in a huge way. And so, congratulations to you. Great job there.
Very happy because I didn't have any real chops this year, like where I really felt good, and it came week 70, truly the last real week, semi-real, because you already had some interesting situations going on, which also is like a combo to have in the future. Like people are getting pissed off. Like my fantasy finals decided on rested players and Titans and stuff like that.
Dealing with the same thing as a commissioner. I've been having people bitching back and forth. In my league, the guy that was in second in the finals had Jamar Chase down by less than 10 points. So, hard to figure out how to handle that one. But, everyone has their own process. So.
Yeah. So I need you to do me a favor and you know what this is, since I haven't really in anticipation of week 18, I'm like, you know what? But now since I had that big week 17 win, I actually want to get involved week 18 because it's the last week of the season.
Yeah, but I actually like it. I kind of like it. I think there's a lot of edge.
Why don't we pull up the board, and I'm going to give you the impossible task of condensing your 30-minute video that you probably filmed already into like 30 seconds. 30 for 30. Look who's talking style.
Hold on one second here. And don't worry, you know what? I'm going to do the Command Plus now.
All right. Now, how about this? Before this comes in, do you typically, philosophy-wise, look for games that matter and players that matter, or the polar opposite? I want two teams who don't give a rat's ass and are just looking to like compile stats.
Ideally, you actually want to look for games that matter. I think that is your clearest way to success, right? Who is exactly going to play. But you have to have some conviction, especially if you're like mass entering, to be using guys that are getting expanded roles in weeks that they never would before. You have to have a nice mix of it. I think I feel most comfortable with my full game stacks, quarterback, wide receiver, stuff like that, with the guys that are planning on playing for something. But it's a mix. I think the right answer is a mix. I think what you can do is not get too cute. I think that's important, right? Like let's not play Nathan Peterman just because he's starting this week, right? Let's probably not play Tyrod Taylor just because he's starting this week. We have a huge 13-game slate, and we don't have to just take these quarterbacks that are stepping in just because they're starting. There's some guys that it might make sense with, right? Like Sam Howell is starting. He's under 5K. He looked really good in his one preseason start. He's a rookie that they're going to let throw. They're at home. They're trying to upset Dallas. Like they'll let him throw 30, 40 times. Like you can think about certain guys like that, but you also don't have to get too cute with some of the random guys that are going to start. So I think that's kind of my general philosophy. Yeah. And then, as far as motivation is concerned, we could talk that through as we go through games here.
All right. So looking at this, at this board here. Yeah, I know. I muted myself for a second.
No, you're good. You're good.
So why don't you pick a nice destination for us to start?
Yeah. Well, if you look at game totals, so we have 2 games on Saturday this week, and that Raiders Chiefs game tomorrow night is the highest on this total on the week by a long shot. That's 50. Nothing on the main slate has anything over like 43. Vikings, Bears, 43. Giants, Eagles, 43.5. Patriots, Bills, 43.5. That might be a place to start because both those teams are playing for something. So let's start there because both these teams are playing for a lot, right? Patriots are winning it in the 7 seed, and the Bills still have to win to get the 2 seed locked up. As well as potential everything going on with that AFC Championship game.
That's such a scam, man. It's such a scam. There's one part of it that's a scam is that they're saying, well, if there are any teams who could have qualified for the 1 seed who play in the AFC Championship, that's going to be at a neutral field. Yeah, interesting, because if you looked at the Vegas line on that Bengals game while it was going on, they were massively favored to win that, which means they would have been the 2 seed. Yet the way things are going to go now, that second round would be in Buffalo when they should argue, no. That should be another coin flip or whatever you want to call it.
I actually agree with you. I think any game that would take place between the Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills throughout the playoffs should be a neutral site at any point because it was impossible to fully
now, look, once
down.
Again, I'm separating all the serious stuff from this. But I'm just saying
I think this is a fair conversation. This is a totally fair conversation.
I know. But there's
matters.
one team that got screwed, I'd say. Yeah. One team who got truly screwed, and that's the Bengals.
I was all over the Bengals in that game for what it's worth. Like, I liked them to win. I liked them money line. Like, they were a clear at home. It felt good in that spot.
Yeah.
And they were obviously
all the roads led to rats, and everyone was taking Buffalo. The spread was going more in Buffalo's direction, -2.5 by the time it started.
Yep.
And
so anyway, let's talk this game because Josh Allen obviously will be in play to me. Like, if I'm spending up at quarterback, it's either Allen or Hurts. Hurts is back this week. Both these teams have a lot of incentive to win. My issue with Hurts over Allen is the Giants have no incentive to win. So A, I don't know if he's going to get pushed. And B, they might be playing Minshew in the second half if they're up 30, which is certainly possible. The Giants announced today they're playing their backups. Like, there's a good chance they're at home. There's a good chance we only get a half of Hurts here. So I prefer Allen if I'm spending up.
Are the Bengals and Bills playing at the same time?
The Bengals and Bills are playing at the same time. Yes.
All right, good, because now that pretty much guarantees us that those players will be playing from beginning to end because they're playing for home field in the second round, the theoretical second round.
Yep.
And I really like. I predicted this before that last game, and I'm telling you, all my bets I feel like we're going to hit. You are going to, and I want you to go the other way because I thought before that game that Burrow, it's too hard to figure out. They're going to utilize the best matchups. And what'd you see? A Boyd first touchdown set up by a Hayden Hurst over the middle. Then they used T. Higgins on the second drive. They used Chase on the first play to get the safeties scared, by sending it deep. And there was going to be a watered down effect, I feel. Everyone was going to be involved. Mixon had some good runs. But over here, I was predicting the Bills come back to the first part of the season where you saw them winging it. I took every over on Josh Allen you could imagine because they were pushed down from that midseason. I don't want to say lull, but they weren't up to their early season standard. He wasn't throwing it as much. They were limiting him in the red zone, but they know it's playoff time coming, and they have to get back into that offense where they're going to go shot for shot with teams like the Chiefs. And I thought he was going to be winging it. The over-under on Gabe Davis was 46. For Diggs, it was like 76. Yep. And I just went over on everything. And judging by how that game started, it was going to go that way.
Yeah, I
think
like
that was a little
too.
wink. I think that was a little wink into us going back to early season Buffalo. I think you could be looking at a massive Josh Allen double stack opportunity in this game.
I really agree with you. And also ownership, I haven't looked yet, but there's a chance it really falls through the cracks a little bit because, a lot of people are going to just take shots on different quarterbacks, I think.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that he could get steamed up a little bit, but I don't know how much. So I'm with you on Josh Allen. I think he's a great play this week. They're at home. They did beat New England when they played in Week 13, but he did not have a big game there. We know he's a threat with his legs. And, again, the last thing I want to bring up, I don't love to bring this up, and obviously I think the emotional drain is probably more than any kind of rest that they have, but they basically—
You want me to do it? You want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll do it, so it's not on you.
Yeah.
I bet on the Buffalo Sabres the other night. There was a reason why. And in a similar reason, would imagine that the Buffalo Bills are really going to want to play well in this game. Let's just leave it at that.
But I was going to say that as well. And their bodies are more rested, right? Like, obviously, as I was saying, their emotional drain, sure, but they played half a quarter and they basically had an extra bye week, of rest. Obviously, I know they still had to travel. They had everything that went on, but New England's going to play too, so they might try to push a little bit. New England has to play. So, let's talk about other guys from this game. Running back wise, I think Singletary is interesting. I don't think anyone's going to go there. Obviously, he's under 6K.
I know someone who's not going there. Me.
Yeah, you're not interested. I mean, New England. Obviously, I'd rather.
I was earlier in the year, but the problem is James Cook is ripping off too many good runs now, where he's earned too much of the steal. I used to say when they're playing in a competitive game, play Singletary, but now I even have to come back off of that because Cook is looking.
Yeah, Cook looks good. I'm doing a lot of those best ball playoff tournaments, and I find myself drafting a lot of James Cook. He's still going 20 spots after Devin Singletary. So, yeah. Well, anyway, I think they're fine in Allen stacks. I always talk about it. They're both drawing targets still. Singletary still gets his targets as well. So, I don't mind them in Allen stacks. And then I'm probably not into Ramondre or Harris because they're eating into each other again. Damian came back and had 9 carries last week. So it's obviously the receiver stuff's more interesting. I think Diggs is great. I think Gabe Davis is fine, but I would lock him with Josh Allen. And then,
course.
We'll see on the New England side because, you can throw in Buffalo, but Jacoby Myers is questionable.
Is what level of questionable? Has he been practicing? Because now that he's back,
he was limited yesterday.
All right. Now that he's back, I think it's the most important game. But since he was injured, I'd say around Thanksgiving, now that he's back and truly, as long as I'm seeing that 9-7-6,
yeah,
in a game where they could be down potentially big. We've seen in the past Allen have some big games against the Patriots. It's going to be Myers just trying to get them back into
I agree. I like
completions over the middle. So we're already looking at how our lineup's going to be built.
I do like him a lot. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I like him too because he also pays off these tags, right? When he's in the 5K range, he's at 27, he's at 21. Last 2 weeks, 17 and 20. You'll take that at 5,100. You want 23, 24, but he's proven that he could get you that. So I'm with you on that.
That guy, he's a small charge on your credit card that you pay off right away. It's not one of these wacky ones. That's agreed. Agreed. Yeah, definitely doable.
All right, other games, or I guess let's talk about teams. So the Baltimore-Cincinnati is the other side, but it sounds like Baltimore, by the way, is just locking themselves into the 6th seed. They're not really going to play very much. Sounds like Huntley's going once again. They could get the 5 seed, but it's a long shot. And it sounds like they're going to kind of take it easy this week. So I don't know how into Baltimore I am. Obviously, the Cincinnati side, similar to the Buffalo side in that they're going to play hard this week. They want to lock everything in. You could throw on Buffalo. So I throw on Baltimore. So I don't really love many Ravens this week, but I do like the Bengals side.
Right now, for the same reason last week, I hate to go Shark Tank on you. I can't figure out. It's one of those, if you're a mass entry guy, if you're Gary, go ahead. Throw in, I don't know how many variations, but throw in that whole assortment of Hurts and Higgins and if you're a Charlie Bucket, you can't use them. That's my advice. If you're a mass entry guy, absolutely. Do all your little mixes and matches, and 2 of those guys might go wild. But, it's hard to know. Yeah,
I mean, what I like to do is if you do want to take one of them, I would play into ownership a little bit. So T. Higgins right now is projecting for no ownership at all. He's $800 less than Chase. Chase is going to get a little bit of ownership, so I don't mind taking shots on both these guys. But yeah, I agree. And then Hurst as well came right back in last week and didn't lose. We saw got 2 targets right off the bat in that first drive. Still only 3,100, so he's a cheap tight end option for you, I think.
Yes, this is the first time you're seeing the offensive line along with the offense clicking and all the pieces, because they have been great ever since I think it was they beat New Orleans. But then Chase was out, and then you had a point where T. Higgins with the hamstring, then Hurst was out, and they were never all on the field before earlier in the season when Joe Burrow didn't have 2 seconds to look up and find somebody. So this is the first time, and you saw that drive on Monday night where he's got all his weapons. The offensive line was working. They were running the ball. They truly, it looked like we're clicking on all cylinders. So it's going to be very interesting to see if it's one of those situations. Like, I don't want to compare it exactly to it, but when Brady had Evans, Godwin, Gronk, and it was tough to figure out who was going to go off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, totally. I agree with you for sure. So, no interest on the Baltimore side. Let's just wrap up games that people are going to be playing for again. So, other than that, you got the Eagles we mentioned. It sounds like Hurts is going to be owned. I'm going to fade off Hurts with ownership here. He's coming off the injury, might be a little bit rusty. I think they're going to do as little as possible with him to make sure they secure the win. They need him fully healthy for the playoffs. And again, the Giants aren't playing their guys, so it's hard to want the push. Rather Josh Allen.
Play Boston Scott.
Yeah. No, you can. You really can. I mean, actually, hold on. Let's do that at the end where we'll talk about like long shots of teams.
Carnies,
guys. Yeah. Dallas also going to play at the same time as Philly. So I think they'll be doing some scoreboard watching, because if at halftime they see the Eagles are up 25 or whatever, I think they take it easy in the second half. So something to consider there as well. But they're playing at the same time. You could definitely talk yourself into Dak. Washington has been really susceptible through the air.
Chargers will be locked in if Baltimore loses at 1:00. They'll be locked into the 5.
Yes, correct. Yep.
I got news for you. I think they're beating the Chiefs in the second round.
The Chargers?
Yeah.
I just don't trust Staley at all, man.
Look, I get it.
Staley versus Andy Reid.
It's different between those two teams. All their losses in their last 5 games, they beat them twice, and all their losses were like 3 points at the end. And they haven't played them with both their wide receivers, and they're coming in with full momentum, and Herbert be chucking. And that's a bad matchup for KC, a team who has those types of
their secondary sucks. Yeah.
It's just Herbert's he's not a bitch. He will go right into that building and just start winging it. And whatever happens. Yep. I'm telling you, I'm taking the Chargers to win 2 rounds. I don't trust them in Buffalo, though.
Yep. San Francisco, they're going to play, they still have a chance at the 2 seed. So, or they want to secure the 2 seed rather, because if the Vikings win and the Niners lose, the Vikings get the 2 seed. And the Vikings are playing the Bears. They're not going to lose. So
the Vikings don't want the 2 seed.
No,
I was talking to my Vikings friend earlier. Like, you want to be playing the Giants and then hope maybe something like Rodgers upsets San Fran with this young quarterback, and then you play like the Bucks or something in round 2. You host them.
Good.
You don't want to be playing those top 2
You know what? If I'm the Giants, I also want to play the Vikings. So good.
We want to play each other. We want to play battle of losers,
which is good. And I don't want to feel. I never feel confident with my teams, but I would feel pretty good for the Giants going back into Minnesota after almost beating them and losing on a 63-yard field goal 2 weeks ago on Christmas Day. Or Christmas Eve.
And then you could get a crusty Hurts who maybe he doesn't look all right coming out of this game. And then people are wondering, oh my God, now we get a week off. And then what is he going to look like the following week?
Exactly. So the Niners, I would expect to play with the Vikings winning. And that makes them interesting. This is Arizona. It's a great matchup to attack. Christian McCaffrey, I guess that's the question, right? So he's a little hurt. He didn't practice yesterday. So I think, this could be a huge decision point on this slate, because if he doesn't play, I think Elijah Mitchell's back. He's only 4,000. I don't think they're activating him if he's not healthy. So
they activated. You just guaranteed one of my picks this week.
Yep, they activated him.
He is 1,000% in there. He's really in there. He's practicing like he's no limitations.
Yeah. Well, they brought him up like they early in the week. They already said he's available for Sunday's game. So. I think if Christian McCaffrey's out, especially, he's a good play, right?
I just think this team knows how important McCaffrey is, and they ran him into the ground that last game because they needed it. And look at this slight injury.
Yep, agreed. Debo, it sounds like could be back this week. I would maybe sit them out still, which makes Ayuk, and then Kittle. This is the nut matchup for tight ends, and clearly. Purdy loves throwing to this guy, right? He's been the four games since Purdy, 5-5, 8-8. He's found the end zone 5 times. I would keep going back to the well here against Arizona for Kittle. So Kittle's one of my guys this week. Sure.
What about I've steered clear throughout this whole losing streak of Seattle. I'm like, I was like, this is kind of a scam team who had a good start. I'm not sure. Like, remember everyone? It's like, oh my God, Geno doubles. He's doing everything. Well, not so much lately. But what about in this game where it's like you don't even know what's going to happen with the Packers later? This might be. He might run up this score.
I think I like the Rams to play spoiler here. I think.
What, Baker?
I mean, look. Obviously, it's been a mixed bag there since he's gotten there, but he's been way better than he was on. God, what team was he on earlier? Cleveland? No, what team was he on?
The Panthers.
The Panthers. And, I mean, they put up 50 against Denver a couple weeks ago. They were in that Green Bay game. Like, Seattle's been bad. Obviously, last week they took care of business against the Jets. But, in division, I think the Rams, McVay wants nothing more than to play spoiler here. So if they can push, you could definitely, first of all, Akers has been a league winner for people. I can't
believe that. Imagine?
I mean, it's good to see, right? 3 straight weeks of over 5 yards to carry. Like before the Achilles injury, we were thinking how talented this guy was. He came onto the scene in the second half of his rookie year. He was running all over people. He looked one of the most explosive running backs in the league. He almost was off the team in the middle of the season.
Oh, he was off the team.
Yeah, and then he gets another chance. He gets another chance and he gets his explosion back. Like, I'm happy for the guy. It
shows you how much of a scam that position is.
Oh, totally. But I'm happy for him, and I think you keep riding him here. Seattle's been a run funnel, man. And
I actually agree with you on that.
200, yeah. So I think keep riding him. I'm not really interested in other ones, but yeah, I mean, you could do a little Geno stack here. I think it's reasonable. A Geno double with Akers on the bring back or something like that. I think it's in play.
All right. Well, why don't we? Let's
just talk Carnies real quick. So let's just talk about teams that are playing ridiculous people. Right?
Do you have some names in your head already?
I mean. I'm just gonna not really honestly.
I'm only saying this because I know it's not easy.
It isn't, no.
But if you could give us a little boxing voice as you're doing this, maybe.
All right, folks.
All right. How about this? Step right up. What game do you think will have a potential Carney feel?
Well, okay. Let me pick that first, and then we'll get ringside. So. The whole week is here's the carniest game of them all. Honestly, this is the carniest game of them all.
Oh my God!
So, all right, folks. And coming out of the AFC South here, you have the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts, and they are both trying to lose. They're playing Sam Ehlinger versus Davis Mills. The Colts want the better draft pick. The Texans want the first overall pick. They're in division. I think you can look again at Zach Moss here, folks, who's gotten.
This is top notch, man. You really need to. Need to. I mean, it is this. You send this right to your boss. Say, look, I know this sounds ridiculous, but this is what has to happen. Like the Fast Five from Fast Eddie or something like that. All right. So, do you think there's some stuff in this game?
Yeah, well, I think Zach Moss. So I think both these teams are going to try to run the shit out of the ball and make the other one beat them because they both want to lose, and they're both completely incompetent. The Texans need to lose this game to lock in the number one overall pick, and the Colts should be trying to throw this game to make sure their division rival doesn't get the number one pick, and then the Colts have a better top 3 or 4 pick, right? So both teams have major incentive to lose. So I think that they just try to run the shit out of the ball, and the Texans have been the worst run defense all year, and they're running Zach Moss like a bell cow. He's only 5,200. Like, I think you can use him. Yeah. I don't like it, but I think you can use him. Other than that, not really. I'm not going anywhere in that game. The Giants are going to be playing.
Fields playing?
No, Nathan Peterman's playing. So there's nothing here. You can't go to anyone on the Bears. Anyone.
Okay.
I mean, David Montgomery, I guess, because you've been able to run on the Vikings, but I think this is going to be like Malik Willis level.
Is Tampa resting players?
Tampa's going to rest. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's officially been announced, but they're going to rest.
What about Atlanta's running back? They're going to rest Cordarrelle Patterson's old ass.
Yeah. You get Algier again, who's been another league winner for people, right? He's been really good down the stretch here. And
20 attempts last week. I mean,
20 attempts. I think he's in play.
You're going to get the same thing this week.
Assuming if the Bucs are sitting Brady and their receivers and stuff, you got to assume they're going to sit Vita Vea and the good run stoppers. So
100%.
Yep. Especially Vea, who's that was the big guy from the Super Bowl a couple years ago that we didn't know if he was going to play.
So why don't you add him in while we're there?
Okay.
And we'll go back to that in a second. Yeah. Now, sitting those games there, Tampa, Atlanta, New England. Buffalo.
Yeah, other spots. I mean, Jets, Miami now is kind of weird. I kind of like. I don't mind going to these Jets. I mean, Flacco against the Dolphins is kind of a punt play you can go to. He had 31 points in week 2. We've seen him. He's gonna throw a ton. So I guess that's an option.
And scroll over to those fours.
Yeah. And then Pittsburgh needs to win, right? Or they're going to try to win, right? I believe for
Yeah, so that's going to be a hard-nosed game, though.
Yeah, I don't really like it. Najee, I guess.
Because they still want Deshaun Watson to get as much work as he can to ready himself for next year. The guy hasn't played in 2 years. Like he's only getting 6 games. So that's actually going to be tough. That's a tough one to think about. Some of these other ones,
I like the Saints receivers. They're at home. I like Shaheed a lot. I mean, this is a guy that is undrafted free agent. He's like Tyreek Hill-esque with his downfield ability. Like, I'm not saying he's Tyreek Hill, but he's like him. And he was another 6 for 79 last week. Like, he's only 4,200. They're at home. Carolina's pass defense in the second half of the season has been putrid. So I think Olave and Shaheed are interesting plays. I'm not going to the quarterbacks or anything, but they have no reason to sit these 2 rookie receivers. They might as well let them work. So,
and Darnold, he's looked very good, man. Like he's looked very good.
Yeah,
and not necessarily if you want to use him, or I don't know,
I don't mind it in the dome there.
Well, how are his receivers looking?
Yeah, DJ Moore has been as expected. 3 straight games now of around 20 plus points with Sam Darnold. So,
and I want to say, ever since he came in, if you look, yes, he had one game because the game script called for it. They were getting turnovers. They kept running the ball in Seattle. But look, even that first game, 170. This is what it looked like when Sam Darnold started the first 6 games last year.
Yeah. Darnold's earned himself some money. It's so funny for all the talk of how bad the Jets and Giants screwed up these guys with Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones. They're both going to get paid this offseason. I mean, Daniel Jones is really going to get paid, but Sam Darnold will earn a nice little I think Sam Darnold's contract will be more than Mitch Trubisky's was this past year. You know what I mean? Like he'll get
I weirdly still have faith in him.
He's not bad.
If you look at his problems, it was that he turned the ball over, and there's a chance a guy gets into his mid to late 20s and he wisens up a little bit with that stuff. And I don't know, man. He played pretty damn well the other day, and his interceptions were on jump balls. I never mind stuff like that. He tried to win that game. He didn't try to nickel and dime you. And I do think Daniel Jones is a nickel and dimer.
37, 340. Oh, I really don't. I mean, obviously I'm biased as a Giant fan, but that guy's he pushes the ball downfield. They just don't have the
Gary, he's no good. He's no good.
All right,
I'm not going to delete those previous years out of my head. I've seen awful quarterbacks go on 1 year, 2 year runs. Eventually, it comes back down to earth. We know who he is. He's been
the most accurate quarterback in the league this year.
He can absolutely be. All right, and so was RG3 in year 1, taking his 5-yard slants over the middle to Pierre Garçon. If you structure something the right way, year 1, usually you have some success. And for what it's worth, Mr. Quarterback Guru did the same thing for Josh Allen when he was winging it all over the place wide. So maybe he's having that kind of success with Daniel Jones. But I don't know. I don't know how you can delete the previous couple of years from your head.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think it was freaking Joe Judge and Jason Garrett. I mean, no one would have success under them. No one. Literally no one.
And especially if you look earlier in the year, the Giants had a bunch of scam wins. You take those off the board, and it's not like Daniel Jones. He was equally as frustrating in those wins. We're letting a little stretch here in the final third of the year. Just this is what people do. It's washing out the first part. It's washing out years before. They were doing what I think the flip end of that is it's incredible what he's doing with the worst offensive weaponry in the league. So I mean, and obviously he's maybe the second or third best rushing quarterback in the league right now. So there's a lot there in my opinion, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah,
I mean, I've always been
don't fall for it because the problem with guys like this, they are always like, all right, well, you know what? Let's give him one more year. Then you look behind you, 7 years have gone by, and you maybe have one playoff win. All right, now he's a completely different guy. You want the loser like Derek Carr? Gotta love everybody, by the way, saying you're gonna do this to a top 8 quarterback. What happens? They send in a freak with that offense. He almost has the Niners beat in overtime. All the Derek Carr stuff. It's all come to fruition as I knew it would. And kudos. I'll be the only person who says it. Kudos to the Raiders for realizing you had a big loser and you're now cutting ties with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. And Jarrett Stidham looked good, man. He looked really good. We'll see if he can do it again. I mean, it's a good matchup for him tomorrow night against Kansas City, right? We were just talking about
interesting when you throw the ball to Waller and Renfro and, I wanted to send it to you. So Cowherd's one of those people. He's a huge Carr defender. And they brought on someone they trust as their QB guru. And they're like, well, you're a QB guru. What does the tape say? And somebody finally said it. The coaching staff, they were correctly getting extremely aggravated at the throws he left on the field. AKA, he kept checking it down opposed to taking throws that were, and basically I forget who it was, maybe Peter King. He backed one of the few people who backed that Raiders decision. And I was just so happy to hear someone finally say what I've been saying for years. He does not take chances if it's there, which is why second half teams always come back on him, because with the lead, he's just hoping to run. He's Rivers number 2. On to the next topic.
Yeah,
so we just build the rest of this team.
Let's make a lineup and get our Men's Warehouse and get out of here, because I got to do NBA stuff. So
all right, sorry.
Yeah, no,
sorry. It's a ranter's paradise today. But the good news is we know our double stack. I really want to go Allen with both receivers.
Okay, let's do that for sure.
And then throw Myers the other way.
Yep, I agree with this.
Throw in a rusty defense just to so we know where we're at with prices.
See, this you can get really weird this week, right? Because we know teams are going to be super strange. I think Washington, they got home against Dallas, and Dallas lays down in the second half.
Go ahead, click that.
You can do weird stuff. Who was the other running back we were talking about liking?
Sniff of the week, Eli Mitchell.
Oh yeah, that is a sniff of the week, isn't it?
As long as I see that he's active, if I see massive participation in practice, I know how they work. If they're up in the second half, McCaffrey will hardly get 2 touches.
Yeah, I agree with you. Any tight ends you like?
Well, you liked Kittle.
I like Kittle a lot. I don't know if you want to double down on San Francisco here.
Then the sniff allowed us to afford Kittle. But then again, I get,
because he's so cheap, I think you could do it. I don't like doing that. The double position player without the quarterback.
Oh no, you liked Hurst at tight end.
I like Hurst. I think Conklin's interesting because again, I think the Jets are going to be throwing. The Dolphins have been really bad against tight ends.
Why don't you toss Hurst in there?
Yeah, he's cheap too, and they're playing. So then you have a lot of money.
My God, that's all made possible. Brought to you by today's Clarendon Sniff of the Week, Eli Mitchell, who will injure his knee by the 4th quarter of this one.
You can do whatever you want here with one of these spend-up guys.
Wow.
I don't even know if I have a Men's Warehouse this week, man.
Well, do me a favor. So then Chuck Mitchell from this lineup, who's a running back you like?
There's a ton. So I actually don't love the top tier, right? Obviously Saquon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So let's scroll down.
You can.
Oh, Akers.
Akers. Yeah, we like Akers, right? So then you go. That was who I was thinking of that we like.
And then what is Lockett 6,000?
Then you could still get Kittle though if you wanted, right? So then you could do this, and then you're just punting at receiver at the left. But this is the week to do it, right? There's going to be guys, and this is where you really have to look at projections. But there's going to be a ton of guys in this range that are going to have expanded roles this week. Right?
Millions.
So I think that's kind of where you look at projections. But anyway, you can mess around with this. Yeah, there's a ton you could do.
We've given you the option.
I actually I like to look at something like this. I really do. So I'm excited for this week. I think it's fun. You have a Men's Warehouse.
If I'm gonna go Men's Warehouse, it's gonna be Gabe Davis, because I believe that the Bills are gonna want to get into that playoff mode, and you're gonna see Wing in it. And I think it's garbage to give you Diggs as a pick of the week. I'm going to go with Gabe Davis. He's in the 5,000s, and he's going to definitely come through on that price. I imagine you get one of those deep touchdowns from him in this game. I'll go Gabe Davis as my Men's Warehouse pick of the week.
I'm going to go my guy Rashid Shaheed here. I really like this kid. 4,200, at home against Carolina. We're giving you a deep sniff here. I don't think he'll get too owned. He's on my cheap wide receiver. He's the top of my cheap wide receiver volume article this week, actually. I like him a lot. So
cool. All right, well, that's what we got. But that concludes 2022-2023 season of Look Who's Chalking. Thank you. Me and Gary, this kind of morphed into a thing we just enjoy doing, but we know there's a good chunk of you who enjoy it as well. So thank you for coming back for another year. As always, me and Gary, I think we're starting to get a little pull in this industry, believe it or not. You imagine that? Do you imagine that? No. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see what happens. As always, just I guess stay tuned, and maybe we'll just do it because we enjoy it again. Keeps us fresh, allows us to kind of bounce ideas off each other and talk about weird things that have happened in each of our lives. So thank you for coming back once again, Gary. If you want to say anything to these knuckleheads.
No, I don't want to say anything.
Well, all right, we're on to 2020.
Good luck in week 18 here, folks. And if you
good luck in week 18 in 1929.
If you try real hard, you might just have Nathan Peterman throw a touchdown to Chase Claypool.
All right, everyone, take it easy. Have a good one, and good luck to you in whatever endeavors come your way. Whatever gambling or DFS endeavors you embark on this playoff year. Take it easy.
8 units Mountain View.